Shockwaves were sent around the NBA yesterday when Howard Beck of The Ringer reported that he's had conversations with an anonymous NBA executive that led him to believe that the Memphis Grizzlies could potentially look to trade Ja Morant this offseason. Now, do these rumors have any real traction? Not really. But I wanted to examine this a little bit further and see, does it actually make sense for the Grizzlies to move on from their superstar point guard? The answer may surprise you. But before I get into all that, be sure to like the video down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We are posting podcast clips here every single week. Also, go to TikTok and Instagram, find Boyers Not Ballers. You can find more of our content there as well. So follow us on the social media feeds. First, I wanted to say, it's becoming pretty clear that Ja Morant is not the best player on the Memphis Grizzlies. I think it's Jaren Jackson Jr. Triple J is in the middle of a breakout 2024 season. He just made his second All-Star appearance a few days ago. He's posting a career high in points per game. His scoring efficiency is right up near career high levels as well. And despite his block numbers not being quite as impressive as they were early on in his career, he is still an anchor of one of the very best defenses in basketball. With Triple J on the court, the Grizzlies have a defensive rating of 109, which would be top 5 in the NBA. But with him off the court, the Grizzlies have a defensive rating of 116, which would be bottom 5 in the NBA. And Jaren Jackson's breakout season has come at a very advantageous time for him financially. This offseason, he is extension eligible, and if he makes an All-NBA team this year, which it's looking very likely that he will, he would be eligible for a 5-year, $345 million Supermax extension. Keith Smith, who works at Spotrac, did a really good breakdown of his unique contract situation and why it's a little bit stranger than most other top 5 picks because he had some injury concerns early on in his career, signed a below market value rookie extension. So if you want more information, check that out. It's a really good article, very thorough. So the Grizzlies could be looking at paying Triple J an average annual value of almost $70 million per year starting in 2027. Memphis is a small market team. We all know that. And this blew my mind when I looked into it. I didn't believe it, but it's true. Did you know that the Grizzlies have not paid a cent in luxury tax penalty since 2005? 2005, that is 20 years ago. Hollaback Girl by Gwen Stefani came out that year. Many of you watching at home probably weren't even alive in 2005. So if he does sign that Supermax extension this offseason, the Grizzlies could be on the hook in 2027 for $140 million just for 3 players, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bane. That is almost 80% of the total salary cap for 3 players. This doesn't even take into account the many young, talented role players that Memphis has developed over the years. We're talking Santi Aldama, Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams Jr., Scottie Pippen Jr. They also have 2 pretty good rookies who are going to need extensions in a few years as well, Jalen Wells and Zach Edey. So things could get very, very, very expensive for the Grizzlies rather quickly, and I don't know if they're a team like the Warriors or the Clippers that are willing to spend tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in luxury tax penalties to compete. But moving on from the money side of things to pure production, there is no denying that Ja Morant is not as impactful now as he was a few years ago. In 2023, he was second in the league in drives per game, over 20 per game, and on those possessions, the Grizzlies scored points on 70% of them. Fast forward to 2025, Ja Morant is only driving the ball 16 times per game, and the Grizzlies only score on 60% of those possessions. He has been a less efficient scorer from everywhere on the court this season as compared to 2 years ago. In the restricted area, from mid-range, behind the arc, he's making fewer shots this year than he was in the past. On top of all those concerns, there is a lot to be worried about with injuries. Ja Morant has still never played 70 games in a season over his 6-year career, and he has already missed over 20 games so far this season, having played just 920 minutes of a possible 2,600 in 2025. And here's another crazy stat that will blow your mind. Ja Morant, since 2021, has played over 10 consecutive games just 3 times. 3 times. He had a 19 consecutive game stretch in 2021, a 17 consecutive game stretch in 2021 as well. But since then, he has played over 10 games in a row just 1 time. And Ja's playstyle does not necessarily lend itself to an incredibly long career. He is a 6'2", 180-pound guard whose game is not built upon volume 3-point shooting, but on insane athleticism and downhill rim attacking. Ja Morant isn't Ja Morant if he's not recklessly driving to the rim and finishing through contact from much bigger, stronger players. You have all watched plenty of Grizzlies games before. How many times have you seen Ja Morant beat his guy off the dribble, sky through the air, collide right at the rim with a 270-pound behemoth, and crumple to the ground? It happens all the time. Let's face it, small guards who rely on supernatural athleticism are not great bets to stay healthy year over year. They're just not. Because the trade deadline passed, it's basically impossible to make any of these deals work with the online tools, but here are just 2 sample trades that I think could work. First, Toronto. There are worse young trios in the league to build around than Ja Morant, Brandon Ingram, and Scotty Barnes. This definitely doesn't vault them into the tier of Boston, but it makes them a lot more competitive, and at the very least should put them adjacent to the Indianas and Orlandos in the East. And here's another one similarly with the Miami Heat. You could do a lot worse than a young core of Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Ja Morant. Also, the Grizzlies are god tier at developing young talent. So if you give them a Grady Dick, give them a Jacoby Walter, a Nikola Jovic, a Khalil Ware, they're absolutely going to get the best out of them. If I were in the Grizzlies front office, I wouldn't rush to trade Ja Morant. He is still an extraordinary talent with a very unique skill set. But with the looming Jaren Jackson Jr. Supermax extension and serious concerns about his long-term availability, I would at the very least entertain the idea of potentially moving on from him. I think I would open up the dialogue and have a conversation. It might be insane to even think about this, but you know what? Luka Doncic just got traded. Luka Doncic. In the words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible! Thank you for watching. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. As I said, we are posting podcast clips every single week on this account. I think I'm going to try and start to do more long-form video essay style stuff like this, so be sure to check those out as well. As I said, on Instagram, on TikTok, Boyers Not Ballers. Find us there as well. Thank you for watching.